Welcome to the Soft Life with Saddie Baddies. Saddie Baddies is the antidote to mental health stigma, and this podcast is hosted by yours truly, Priscilla O. Adjaman. We are a virtual sanctuary centering Black and multiracial people, and we prioritize the mental and emotional nourishment that is the foundation of collective healing in our communities. Thank you for being here. Welcome back to the Soft Life Baddies. Happy November. Happy Scorpio season and soon to be Sagittarius season. I am grateful to be back. I took a few weeks off to regroup. And if you follow me on Instagram and you are following Saddie Baddies in the Soft Life on Instagram, you will have more of a glimpse and a glance of what our inner world is like, our day to day is like. So definitely follow us on there. We've also been sharing a lot of information on Substack, which is one of our favorite platforms to share long form content. So follow us on Substack as well to just get more in-depth content and to connect with us in a different format, which is writing, words, reading, essays, lists, recommendations, all the things. But we recently shared a really great article on liberation and empathy and freedom being a global struggle throughout the world. So definitely check that out on our Substack. And I'm feeling refreshed. It's November. It's my birthday month. My birthday's in a few weeks. And I'm just really looking forward to trying to really feel present for the rest of this month. You know, I think your birthday is a time to regroup and realign your goals. And now is the perfect time for me to kind of go back to the vision board, go back to some of the goals that I set early in the year and really try my best to execute them. So, we are actually going to be in San Francisco this weekend for Berkeley Haas. They are having their Black Wellness Weekend, and we are going to be on the panel alongside some really amazing other Black founders and creatives and business owners. And I'm so excited for this weekend. So, this will be our first time actually traveling to the West Coast as a Saddie Baddies team, which is really exciting. And we're super, super excited to meet so many amazing folks who are passionate and enthusiastic about wellness and Black wellness. So I'm super excited to be a part of this. And of course, if you want to see more about this weekend, I'll probably be sharing a lot on my stories as well as Saddie Baddie stories. So definitely stay tuned for that. Today, we have the amazing, the badass, queer, Muslim therapist, Oumou Sylla, who is such a dope, incredible community builder and mental health professional. She creates zines, and I'm so excited to have Oumou on the show today. We had a really great deep dive in talking about radical mental health care. We talked about Oumou's upbringing and her background being Senegalese, being a queer person, and really showing up in spaces that do not look like her, do not look like us as individuals, and the way that she has transformed mental health dialogue online and in person is really, really amazing and really inspiring. So let's dive into this episode and let's welcome Oumou Sylla to the Soft Life. Welcome back to the Soft Life podcast. Today we have the incredible Oumou Sylla, and I'm so happy to be speaking with them today. Welcome to the podcast, Oumou. How are you feeling?
I'm so excited. Hello. I don't know if people will be able to see me, but I'm spinning in my chair. I'm feeling thrilled. And I'm happy to be here with you.
I'm so happy to have you. We crossed paths on Instagram, I think a few months ago, maybe almost a year ago, but I'm so happy we
Mhm.
crossed paths and I'm in awe of all of the work that you do and all of the space that you create. But right now, describe how you're feeling in this very moment. Um, for anyone who can't see, which is nobody because it's just us here, you've got a really cool
Literally.
I'm like, for all the people looking, it's literally us. Um, you've got some really cool like wall divider in the back, and it just looks like a very peaceful environment. But describe how you're feeling right now.
Absolutely. So I'm feeling really sleepy. I've felt really sleepy for the past, I want to say like 2 months. I'm so tired. I'm so
Felt,
tired.
felt.
Yeah, I had a really exciting weekend. I was selling zines. So I'm like a zinester
I
now.
saw. So dope.
Yeah, so that was really fun, but that was a 2-day event where I had to exert lots of like social energy in a different
Yeah,
kind of way. And so definitely sleepy. That's number one. I'm also feeling very silly, but that's usually an overtone of my whole life.
love
And
it.
I'm feeling very excited.
I love that. Sleepy, silly, and excited. That's a
Mhm,
vibe. That's a vibe right there.
mhm.
Tell us your origin story in your own words. And this can be anything that resonates most with you, where you're from, your big three, if you know them, your sun, moon, and rising,
Deal.
countries that resonate most with you. Who is Umu in your own words?
Okay. Well, I don't know what to start with. So this is Umu. I was born from two parents who are both African. Both of them happen to be half Senegalese and half Guinean. So I am also Guinean from Guinea
Mm-hmm.
and Senegalese from Senegal. I was born in Senegal and I'm a diehard Senegalese person, honestly. Like you might not, it's even kind of strange for me to be claiming Guinea on a podcast like this, but I thought my ancestors would want me to be Panda Elliston, get off of the table right now. Table. And guess what? The cat got off my black table.
Respectfully, respectfully.
Respectfully. So yeah, I was born in Senegal, diehard Senegalese person, lived there until I was age 6, and then I moved to the States when I was 6/7. I've lived in the States for my whole life essentially. Used to go to Senegal when I was younger in the summers. I still go now whenever I can find the time and the dollars to go, because sometimes those dollars
These
are
tickets is
dollaring.
listen, listen. I go on. I feel you though.
Be in Africa in December like all those other people when they're in Africa in December. Dang.
Dude, honestly, that's a sidebar. Can we stick a pin because I want to talk about that? But you go ahead.
Bet, because what is that about? Anywho, so I go to Senegal every once in a while now. I was born in September.
Ooh.
I am a Virgo.
Yes, your
I'm a
birthday
Virgo
just
sun.
passed.
Yeah, my
Happy
birthday just passed.
belated. Happy
Thank you.
belated.
I just turned 29, though I feel like
Yes.
I have the wisdom of many lifetimes. Um, I'm a Virgo sun, Virgo moon, Scorpio rising. I was thankfully
Ooh.
born in a hospital that like actually took my birth time because a lot of my diasporic friends like were born
Yeah.
in places like
No idea.
Jamaica or just other places, and they're just like, my mom does not know when I was born.
Winging it.
There's no
Winging it.
documents linking me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So blessed that there's a paper that literally says 11 for. I'm not gonna even say the rest. I almost got myself trapped. Period. What in the hell? You
I'm
better cut this
crying.
part out.
I'm crying. I will listen, if you want me to edit it out, we don't need the ops coming for you, okay? We don't need
Racking up the spiritual people. They're
yeah,
gonna be like, find my
yeah.
birth chart. You don't need to know
It's
anything.
yeah. Mind your business. Mind your business.
That's literally that's so funny. So
Redacted.
Virgo sun, Virgo moon, literally Scorpio rising. And then I'm also like a sus ass like Virgo, so I don't even like my like information being out there like that. You know what I'm saying? It's
Oh
so
my
funny.
gosh. And the Scorpio rising
Yeah,
too. It's like
Scorpio
quiet
rising.
as it's kept. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Um, so that's my big three. I'm a Scorpio stellium, so there's like more Scorpio in my chart. I had
Yes.
no idea there was this much water influence inside of my life and my body mind, but there is apparently.
Yes. Felt. I'm also Scorpio rising and a Scorpio
I
stellium.
love Scorpio risings. Are you kidding?
And a
That's why we
Scorpio moon.
vibe.
Yes.
Hello.
Yeah. Yeah. So we right
We're
here.
locked
We're
in.
right here. We're locked in. We're locked in. I
Locked
mean, that could not have
in.
been a better intro as to like who you are in your own words. I know that was a short
Yeah,
snippet, but I love hearing more about kind of those details that play into our personalities and bring us to where we are right now. So you are a therapist among
I
many
am.
other incredible hats that you wear. Can you share with us your journey into being a therapist, becoming a therapist?
So some other people have dreams of being things in their life, right? My mom says that when I was a kid, I was like a natural helper, very like considerate, and
Hmm.
she always thought I was going to be in like a people role. And so me being a therapist made lots of sense to her, though I will say I, as the human being living this life, I never sat down and dreamt of being a therapist, right? It kind of
Mm,
sort of, I want to say, was a path that was just presented to me. And I'm a generator, like, and responder. And I kind of just responded. I was
yeah.
like, huh, okay, I
Yeah.
like that. And then boom, that's literally how that happened. I did my undergrad in child and family studies at Syracuse University. I took this really incredible course by this professor about like power and violence in the family. The
Hmm.
professor was like, do you know that there's a master's program here for therapy? And I was like, no, I didn't know. And they were like, you should apply. And then I applied. And then I got in. And then I was there.
Literally responding to the call. Yeah.
The call. I will say too that I, in my body, know that I have been in this kind of role before in whatever
Mm,
lifetime, right? Like this does not feel new to me. When I'm
yeah.
speaking of things, like it feels like wisdom that I'm accessing from something and somewhere else, right? And so that feels
Mm,
really important to say that though I did not choose this, it was already chosen for me
yes.
before. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. I love that, although it seems simple, I'm sure that there were so many twists and turns that brought you to where
And
you are.
crashes.
Yes, crashes, detours, all the things.
Hmm.
And one thing that what drew me to your space online specifically is radical mental health first aid. And I would love I would love for you to share more about that. And as someone who, took a mental health first aid class kind of to support the work I
You
was
have.
doing. I have, yes.
Oh, so you have context for this. I'm so thrilled.
Yes, I do have a little bit. A few years
Yeah.
ago, I was working as a care coordinator at a hospital,
Mm.
and it was encouraged for all of us care coordinators to take mental health first aid, given the clients and the patients that we were working with, and it would be great for us to have that additional tool to support them. And it was a great like 8-hour course, but you have created such a comprehensive guide with radical mental health first aid. I'm trying to think of the acronym. And I'm like getting it a little because I'm like RHMFA,
Rumpa.
REMFA. Yes,
Yeah.
REMFA. And
Mm-hmm.
I really would love to have you share more about what birthed this, the mission behind it,
Yeah.
and all the details.
I'm so thrilled. Okay. So this you're getting an exclusive right
Yes,
now.
we love exclusive.
Okay. It's so exciting. I actually went and recently, because I have kind of just been like riding the wave of this experience for the past couple of months, and so I was like,
Mhm.
what is the story of what has happened and what I have done for the, because I think
Yeah.
I created this in October of 2022. And so I created it because somebody that I knew in community was like, do you have like a workshop that's like focused on mental health and like just like giving people some like soft skills? And because I'm an ambitious Virgo and I love to respond, I was like, yeah, I do. When do you want it? I did not have the thing that I said I had. And word to my Grand Kenya, her name is Kenya Crawford, brilliant human being. Look her up.
Mm.
She, at one point during one of our supervisions many moons ago, was like, if something sounds desirable to you and your body is screaming yes from like somebody offering you something like that, Say you have the thing and figure out the rest of the shit later.
Yes. Yes.
Because what
Yes.
do I look like telling this person, no, I don't have it, but I can create it, and I'm just doing this like long-winded
Right.
explanation for this person that doesn't need it. I just need
Right.
to figure out how I'm gonna get the thing. You know what I'm saying?
Literally.
And so that's what I did. As a responder, this person came to me and said, "Do you have the thing?" It excited me. I felt satisfaction coursing through my body. So I said, "Yes, I have it." And then I created it. Now, what should I say next? I took mental health first aid a few years ago as well. I took the adult one and I think I took the youth one.
Mhm.
And I was left like a little underwhelmed after leaving the workshop,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Or I don't know if they call it a workshop or a training, the trainings. And I had
It's
to take it as
yeah.
part of. Hmm.
It's
Yeah. And so I took it as part of like one of my previous jobs, and they said it was going to be helpful in doing this, and that. And I was
Yeah.
like, I feel like I'm a suicide cop now. Like I know how to make sure that
Yeah.
if people say suicide, I can lock them up in prison.
Right.
Um, and then I know all these like random diagnostic things that like no regular citizen needs to really know. I don't think human beings need to be armed with some of that information. And I'm using armed specifically,
Right.
right?
It can be
It's a
weaponized.
weapon.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Mhm.
And so took that years ago. And I remember that when this person asked me if I had this thing, I was like, you know what? I'm going to not only create this thing, it's going to be a radical version of this thing that I've taken in the past. Right. And it was, again, I took it like 5 years ago or something. So I've heard that there have been like updates to it and it's a whole different type of thing. And like,
Right.
great, shout out to them. I'm happy for them. You know what I mean? And what I've created is something so comprehensive, so tangible, so community based and community driven that I think it really is gonna blow people's minds in different kinds of ways. It's really going to shift and change the care landscape. Really is going to offer people tangible skills to learn how to not only give care in ways that feels good for everyone involved, but also receive care in ways that feels good for everyone involved.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of like a response, right, to this previous mental health first aid thing that I experienced, and I was like, that I wanted to essentially radicalize and offer to the community in a way that allowed them to go and do something with it immediately. So
Yeah.
it is this beautiful thing that is still being, I think, developed and created right now in real time. Like I honestly want like a radical mental health first aid academy of sorts where like you
Yes.
can come and learn about somatics connected to radical mental health first aid. You can come learn a little bit more about consent. Maybe I do a whole workshop on consent, right?
Mhm.
Maybe I do a whole workshop on creating peer support groups. And if you want to learn how to create your own peer support group, come to this workshop and I'll teach you how to do it so that we can
Yeah.
all learn and figure out ways to decenter the medical model from how we're experiencing care. Right?
Yes.
Like I as a therapist, I think that it's really strange and weird to center therapists as the only way that we're going to be receiving care and nourishment in our lives, especially because
Yeah.
you only get access to your therapist for 1 hour a week if
Right.
you're lucky.
Right. If you can afford it.
Meanwhile, if you can afford it, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Meanwhile, you get to interact with your community members, how whatever ways that looks like, IRL or virtually. And so it's like,
Right.
how could we how can I so my thought was always how can I create this thing that and like demystify care. It's not this complicated like situation. We do have to maybe learn some skills for sure
Mhm.
and practice some skills and maybe fail at some skills, but it's something that can be learned.
Absolutely. What I love so much about your process of developing Memfa is that you saw the solution that was given to us as, as a community at large and as a therapist yourself, right? You saw that
Hmm.
every therapist or every person that works with a specific population needs to take this mental health first aid course. And
Yep.
you know, that's a great start, but you also said to yourself, okay, that's not enough. And I think being
Hmm.
able to recognize when there is a gap in what's being provided to us as the end all be all solution and the courage to actually create something even more dynamic, even more relevant, even more culturally competent and aware is so powerful. And I cannot be more grateful that you exist and that you responded to that. Seriously, that is so incredible. And I think about so many people without like trying to get too emotional. I do think about the people that would have benefited from this all
Mhm.
the time. And thank you for
Mhm.
creating it. Honestly, just thank you so much. It is extremely,
Mm.
extremely needed. Um, and I cannot wait to see it literally become an academy and blow up in all the spaces that
Yup.
it needs to be. Um, Thank you so much. And, I know that you touched on a little bit about your upbringing and your background being Senegalese and Ghanaian,
Mhm.
but how does your upbringing specifically contribute to the work that you share and that you provide?
I love that question. So, I really pride myself in the fact that my African ass, Muslim ass mama raised me to really be as African and as Muslim as possible. And
Mhm.
so, though I have lived in the States for a really long time, and the powers of acculturation and assimilation have absolutely played their role in how I like navigate the world and understand my identity. I am still a person of the global majority. I am still a person that has come from outside and is now situated here. And that informs how I think about people. That informs how I think about the role of community. That informs how I think about the power and the wisdom of our lineage, of our ancestors, of our relationship to the land, of our relationship to the sky, right? My Africanness influences how I think, how
Right.
I create, right? And I think that I also want to name too that radical mental health first aid. I honestly, how do I say this? Mm, some other people create outlines and things for workshops, right?
Mhm.
Some other people will do research and prep, right, to birth their thing. I am not that kind of person anymore. Why? Because I have been able to like separate myself from this like, the Virgo need to do those kinds of things because I have been able to connect to the wisdom of my ancestors and the wisdom of my
Mm.
people in a way that literally let me like I made this thing in a couple of hours. I was just like, "Oh, this feels good. This makes sense here. What's that
Yeah.
word again?" And just
Yeah.
literally just like I was channeling words from someone
Yeah.
else. You know what I'm saying? And
Yes.
so and I also did it in one of my most manic states that I've ever been in. Right? And so that shit was also mad funny because I I that used to be something that I had like lots of like shame and confusion about and all of this stuff. And then I learned how to relate to the mania that pops up in my like cyclothymia life or whatever. And to harness its energy and its
Yeah.
power. And boy oh boy, did it help me to create something powerful.
Hell yeah. Holy shit. I feel like the fact that you can feel intrinsically how much this is from you, like from literally the ancestral, I call it ancestral knowledge because that's what it is. It's
Mhm.
not knowledge that you
Mhm.
can get in a book, it's not something you can
Nope.
research, it's not on PubMed. It's literally
Yep.
ancestral knowledge and that is so powerful. And when you respond to that, there is just a different the result is different. It's just it hits harder. It's like you are able to go into the depths of what you're creating and without that attachment to the result in a way too, right?
Oh my gosh, no. Oh my gosh, no attachment to the result. It's so
Yeah.
cool. I'm like, this shit is heat and I don't have to sell it to anybody.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so beautiful.
Yeah.
I love that so much. You have created, I mean, so much incredible resourceful information, infographics, charts, flow charts. You are the flow chart master also. Like I've never, and I mean never, ever seen a flow chart the way you've created one, I'm like, God damn. It's
Another one.
it's literally thorough as hell. I'm
Yeah.
amazed, truly.
Yeah.
Your flowcharts are different, but not just the flowcharts. Everything that you share is so incredibly intentional and thoughtful. And one post that really struck me was your creation of burnout resources and how to,
Mm,
move through burnout, but also what to do when you are burnt out and kind of breaking down burnout 101. Can you share more about burnout, what it actually is? Because we hear the term so much now, and also how it
yep.
differentiates from stress or daily stresses in life.
Such a great question. So I went down this like burnout or resources path because I myself experienced burnout. And I kind of had to figure out how I was going to navigate and wade through it all. And so, in my pursuits of researching burnout related things, I kind of felt like there was something missing in the larger discourse. And one of the things that I felt like was missing was the acknowledgement of the influence and the role of capitalism and colonization and exploitation in why I'm even experiencing burnout to begin with.
Right.
And so, one of the things that I want to name first is that my definition of burnout is that it is the body mind's response to labor. And that's like labor
Mm.
connected to capitalism, labor connected to like maybe your role as a parent, labor connected to your role as a community member, whatever kind of labor that's being expended.
Mm.
And usually that means that it's a systemic thing that you're experiencing, or it's a thing that you're experiencing as a result of a systemic thing.
Wow. Yes. I mean, that is the most accurate.
That sigh that you just let out was so profound.
That's okay. That To walk you through what just happened, that was like my mind being opened up, you dropping in that new definition and the old definition getting replaced. Like that is like the system reboot sonically was that yes. I mean, when people feel stressed out chronically or they feel tired chronically or they're feeling just not themselves, a lot of times the first thing we do is blame ourselves. We're not working hard enough or we're too sensitive or whatever. There's a difference between the chronic exploitation and what it does to our mind and body. And I think the fact that you connected as our mind body's response to that just makes so much sense. And I think we know that deep down, but sometimes we want to blame ourselves when in reality
Yep.
it's a systemic issue. Um, when you were developing these resources for burnout and how to care for ourselves
Mhm.
and each other when dealing with burnout, what were some examples or what were some experiences that helped you to name those?
Ooh, okay. So I was getting my I'm gonna name an experience as a therapist. I was getting my license during the like height of the start of the pandemic in 2020. Once I was like
Hmm.
working towards getting my license, which means I was being underpaid. I was working a lot of hours and lots of different kinds of things. And so my relationship to my employer and having to like expend that kind of labor, I
Hmm.
think influenced and like the role of the influence of the mental health industrial complex, right? The roles and influence of like employers and how they create businesses to sustain themselves but not sustain everyone that works for the business, right? Those things helped to develop kind of this burnout survival universe that I created, right? This solar system that I created, of all of these different letters or words that start with the letter D, because I don't, and I guess chose the letter D because that's what I wanted. No rhyme or reason. No rhyme or reason. I just kept using the letter D. I was like, ooh, disrupt. Okay, we're gonna start with disrupt. And I was like, ooh, discernment. Yeah, I like that. And then I
Yes.
was like, ooh, delight. I like that. And so the burnout survival solar system was a tool created specifically out of experience, like similar to me trying to get my license hours or me trying to balance all of the different relationships in my life and feeling really overwhelmed with like, how am I supposed to come home after work, make sure that I'm fed, make sure that my house is clean, also talk to my parents, also talk to my community members, also do this, like how am I supposed to balance all of that? I went and I thought about all of these different things that I would benefit from maybe incorporating into my life to help shift my experience of my burnout. And
Mm.
so I'll read to you some of the D's.
Yes, please. Please.
Okay. So we have one of the biggest D's to use is disrupt. When you think about the word disrupt, I invite you to think about what in my life needs to be disrupted so that I'm experiencing more care, more love, more support, more anything, whatever it is that you want to think about. And so these letters or these words are honestly just like launch pads for thinking, for assessing. And so the only word that you'll see is disrupt. And I have no other instruction outside of what comes up for you as you think about this word.
Mm.
The next word that I have is delight, for example. When I was feeling super burnt out, I was not experiencing anything that was delightful or experiencing in things that delighted me. There was a decrease in delight overall. And so one of the D's of this burnout survivor solar system is to engage in things that delight you.
Yeah.
Bring it into your realm. And then I'll read one more D. Which one should I do? Disappoint, which is
Mm.
the D that scares people. Who in your life or what in your life needs to experience disappointment?
Oof.
Who or what in your life needs to experience disappointment? Once you answer that, figure out what needs to be done next.
Damn.
Not the head hold.
Damn. I mean, that last one, I feel like for a recovering people pleaser, that one is the scariest, right? Like the delight sometimes is okay, yeah, well, I can, it's like the delayed gratification of things. Some people are really good at that, right? Or, disrupt. But the disappoint, that one is, that could be really scary. That could be really, really scary. Thank you so much for sharing those three examples. Yeah, wow. Yeah, that is really just perfectly displays and creates this image of, literally the solar system which you've created, but also how we can take some of those
Mm-hmm.
launch pads and start to do more of those like internal introspective practices and unpack that. Thank you so much. Another, the flow chart in question is,
So which one have you been talking about?
I'm talking about a bid for care.
Yes, yes, the bid for care mind map.
Yes,
Oh,
yes, the mind map. Can
so
you
good.
please walk us through that amazing, incredible, I call it a work of art because it is, but the bid for care
Oh my
is
God.
incredible, incredible. I find myself going back to it and using it on a regular basis, but please share with us and walk us through how you created it and what its use is.
So I think that I first want to name that one of my super skills that I was gifted with is this ability to take complex info and make it into digestible pieces of information that you can do something with. And so, something that I was noticing as I've been talking more about care, talking more about community and relationships, is people saying, like, okay, but Umu, I don't even know what I need. I don't know who I'm supposed to be talking to about this. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Like, all of these questions, right? And I was like, you know what? Word, that's so reasonable. If you were never taught these skills, which a lot of us weren't, then how could one ask you to be imaginative in this way as you exist in isolation? So I went and created the new version is so pretty because this person that follows me on Instagram was so inspired by this work. They literally revamped the ugly thing that I made on Canva and beautified it for me for free.
Oh my God.
They went and beautified it for me for free because they were like, Umu, this thing is so incredible. And then they were like, also, you're not a designer. So
Oh my
are
God.
you down
The
for me to make this for you?
amazing. That is so amazing.
And so I wanted to name all of that first.
Yeah.
Um, that's part of why this version looks so beautiful because there's a designer out there in the world. Her name is Angie Sibbs, and she went and she said, and then revamped it for me. Um, so like I said, people had all of these questions, and I was like, I'm gonna make you a thing that is going to be easy to look at, easy to understand, intuitive, and offers you kind of a glimpse into what you can do if something were to present itself, whether you needed to respond to a bid for care or you yourself had a bid for care. Now, bid for care is something I'm so cool. Like, I'm an internet scholar, okay? I made that shit up myself. Those are words
Yes.
that I put together, and then I went and I made a definition.
Yeah, incredible.
Incredible. My mind. Oh my gosh. And so, bid for care are three words that I put together to be essentially, let me go and get the real definition. So I don't butcher my own definition, shorty, because that would be hilarious.
Someone's like,
That would be
actually,
hilarious.
that's not the definition that you
Actually,
put.
and then I'm gonna be tight because they're gonna be right. You know what I'm saying? And I don't want to be bested like that. I don't want to be
Listen.
bested like that. Are you
Oh
kidding?
my God.
That shit is so funny. Okay. The bid for care is a means of relationship building, connection, and liberation. It includes gestures, actions, and behaviors between beings that signal a need for care. Bids can be verbal or nonverbal and include but are not limited to care actions like body doubling or meal support. So that's what a bid for care is.
I love it. It's
Yeah.
such a simple concept, but the way that you can take it and literally implement it into, like you said, verbal or nonverbal, or if you need it or
Hmm.
someone else needs it, it's a formula, it's brilliant. Honestly, your mind, seriously, it's incredible.
My gosh. Sometimes I'm like, who made this? What is this?
Honestly, as you should. Um, I know we touched on this a little bit, but I really want to get into some of the major setbacks in Western mental health care. And as you mentioned earlier, centering the therapist when it comes to healing and doing the work and taking care of our mental health as individuals
Hmm.
and as a community. What would you say are if you could name three of the major setbacks when it comes to Western mental health care, and this could range from a topics of, you know, families, relationships, self harm, suicide. What are some of those major setbacks?
Okay. Setback number one, therapist slash the mental health industrial complex has an over reliance on the carceral system. And so that means that therapists act as agents of the state, which then means that therapists are cops. I hate to say it, hate to tell you, but it's part of what happens because of the training and the relationship that mental health professionals, and I'm going to put have to have, I'm going to put that in quotes though, with the police industrial complex. And so that goes like connected to something like mandated reporting. Many therapists engage in mandated reporting, which end up taking away a lot of rights from people, end up with people in psychiatric hospitals, ends up with people in prisons. And so that's one big, I just said a lot of things for the number
Mhm.
one because I'm a verbose person. Well, that's number one.
Yeah.
flaw number two, I have a problem with privatized care and therapists and psychiatrists and this kind of thing happening behind closed doors. There's like a stigma that comes with it, and I think that it would be really helpful and powerful to be able to witness people experiencing care out in the world, out in public eye. And so that's one of, I think, the biggest flaws of the mental health industrial complex, how it's
Mm.
done in isolation and
Mm.
it's done behind closed doors.
Right. Right.
And then number three, I think that Western medicine does not honor the wisdom of indigenous peoples. And so there is an over reliance on, I don't know, this other stuff in supporting people on their healing journey when there is lots of wisdom out in Africa, out in literally anywhere else in the world
Yeah.
that can support people on their healing journey. And so this over reliance on this Western information and Western knowledge, I think really blocks people from being able to access the kind of care that would be beneficial for them. So something that I do in my work as a therapist, sometimes I'll be like, maybe we're talking about all this stuff, but what if your chi is off? Maybe you need to go talk to a traditional Chinese medicine person and see if like they can support you in a way that
Yeah.
my words are never gonna do anything with.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think, wow, first of all, that is spot on. And second of all, that goes into my next question, which is about culturally relevant tools, resources, services, um, and individuals in our communities who could be very, very, very much so exactly what we're looking for. Right. And instead of using it as this is the alternative, or this is like esoteric, or this is, the
Mhm,
othering of these resources that have been around for generations, for centuries
mhm,
even. I know that you've named some of them, such as a traditional Chinese medicine practitioner, but what are some of the
mhm.
other services or practices that are indigenous and culturally relevant to us that
Yeah,
are also really beneficial, whether you recommend them to clients of yours or just the ones that you favorite?
totally. So one thing that I will name first is that there is lots of power in being able to um, be in community with people who have experienced similar things as you. And so peer support is something that I talk a lot about. I think peer support and peer counseling is some of the most magical, transformational work that exists. So that's number one. Now, an example of some peer supporters that exist out there in the world. There is a group that was co founded by someone named Dandelion Hill called Peer Support Space. They have so many different peer support groups that you can choose from based off of a whole bunch of different kinds of things, like whether that is experiences with madness, or maybe it's connected to a special interest of yours. Different kinds of peer support groups that really exist out there that can really allow you to be in community with folks that are similar to you or have had similar experiences.
Mm.
There is also Project Let's does really incredible work with the community. Um, who else I wanted to name? There was a third person that I wanted to name in peer support. The third person will come to me in a moment. Part of having a neurospicy brain is that sometimes thoughts come to me and then they disappear right out of my head. They just run off.
All
And so this
good.
third person that I was trying to think of will come to me soon. But those are some of the peer support type people that kind of come to mind.
Mm.
There's also the Institute for Development for Human Arts, NYC. That institution and those people, I think, really are all about supporting folks in accessing knowledge so that you're able to engage in transformative mental health care in your communities. And so I think that it's really a good group and a good community of different activist practitioners that you can go and look for, that will help to support you in this.
Mm, thank you so much. We'll definitely be
Mhm.
sure to add those resources and those mentions in the show notes as well as when this episode is up. But I also would love to know from your experience and your perspective, how do you come back home to yourself after you have just been faced with a challenging day or challenging week? How do you ground yourself and come back home to yourself?
Ooh. One of my favorite practices that was created by Lama Rod Owens, it's called the Seven Homecomings practice. And so it's a centering practice that I like to do. Um, and I do it when things are difficult and when I'm just looking to be reminded of all of the different kinds of homes that I'm connected to. And one of those homes being myself. So it's one of my practices that I like to engage in. I also love to be in the forest amongst the trees. I love, 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 love it so, so much. If there's like a waterfall or some body of water nearby too, that's yummy and delicious. I also engage in like different kinds of somatic practices that might feel yummy or nourishing to my body. Sometimes when I'm feeling like stuck in whatever way, shape, or form, there's like this like swaying thing that I like to do, right?
Mm,
And then it reminds my body that I'm not stuck.
yes, literally moving that energy. Yep, that chi.
Boom. Um, Sometimes I'll like do some shaking in my body if I'm like, whoa, I've just had so many whatever's happening. I have lots of like adrenaline or whatever happening in my body. I'll shake it off. I might do some like swiping or something to like if I'm like ick, I want to get some ick off of me. I'll get the ick off of me. So those are some somatic practices that I really like. I'm also really into. I'm really into.
The giggle. It's the giggle for me.
Oh my gosh. I'm really into this like a very niche kind of telenovela.
Oh,
And so
this nothing could have prepared me for that. Nothing could have,
nothing could have prepared you
nothing.
for it at
I'm
all.
crying.
Yeah. So like musical telenovelas, okay, are my fucking jam right now. If you're into if you want to like look up what I'm talking about, I have two recommendations.
Please
My
share.
first one that I have, I've watched this show now 3 times through. 3 times, okay, from beginning to end. It's called La Reina del Flow, The Queen of Flow.
That sounds lit, to be honest.
It's lit, okay, and I'm talking about 2 seasons, 80 episodes each, okay? It's
One
aggressive. Colombians are sick with the TV. They're
Oh my
sick with
god,
it.
one thing about a telenovela, though, is never gonna be skimpy. It's always gonna give you minimum 120 hours worth of view time, minimum.
Oh my gosh, so much view time, so much view time. So that is the OG musical telenovela that captured my heart, and then I just binge watched another one recently that just dropped this year called A Price of Glory. Oh my gosh, the villain in that, she knocked it out of the park. She did. She was so
I'm
good. Ah!
Oh my god.
I was
Again, nothing
surprised.
could have prepared me for that, but I'm also so pleasantly surprised, and I will be definitely reviewing those recs. That sounds lit. Honestly, I wish mine were like my comfort show at a time when I was probably at my one of my most difficult, challenging times in my life was Jersey Shore, and I just rewatched all of it, and it was great. It was great, and I would do it again.
To reveal to you. I love that. I just recently started watching a double shot at love with John and with Vinny and Carly D where they're looking for love. I just started watching that like literally 2 days ago. So I obviously feel you on what you're talking about.
Oh my gosh. That's too good. That's too good. I'm
Yeah.
definitely gonna be checking that out. And my last question for you is, what does softness mean to you as a Black person?
Mm, okay, so softness feels warm. It feels like a hug. It feels like a blanket. It is comforting. It is a value. It is something that we are all deserving of accessing. It is my right. It is something I'm constantly desiring. Softness, softness. What other words do I want to say? Softness and I go together. Bad.
Real bad.
Real
Real
bad.
bad. Period. Oh my gosh.
Period.
I love it. I love it so much. Oh my gosh. Thank you so, so much. We are going to do our quick little rapid fire session. 5 fun questions tailored to you. Ready? Okay. So, first question, you need to rank these in order of
Okay.
your least fave to most fave. And these are 5
Okay.
TVs and movies that are your favorites, actually. Okay.
Oh, I'm excited.
Criminal Minds, Rugrats, Criminal
Okay.
Minds, Rugrats, Fast and Furious, Daria,
Oh,
Daria, and Scooby Doo.
wait. You're good. All right. Damn. Okay. So, favorite, I'll say Criminal Minds. And
Least
then
favorite?
next, yeah.
Okay,
So I'm going to do least to most favorite.
got it.
So we have Criminal Minds
Criminal
as
Minds.
last place. Then the next one is Daria.
Damn.
Then the next one is Rugrats. And then my 2 favorites, I have to make a decision now. Scooby Doo has to be number 1, and Fast and Furious is number 2. Man.
Silly, the silly and goofy wins takes it all.
It takes it all every fucking time. Oh, I didn't even think I'd have to be put in this position to have to choose between Scooby and Fast and Furious. Yo, you're sick. I'm about to call the FBI and I'm an abolitionist, man.
I'm crying. I'm literally crying. Oh my god. I had to put you to the test, and Silly and Goofy won.
Oh,
That
it
is
won.
hilarious. Okay, next question. You mentioned a couple of them already, but what is your actual favorite somatic healing practice?
Ooh, okay. My favorite somatic healing practice for reals. I really love the shaking for reals. And then I also spend time on my back like a baby,
Ooh.
right? So I will sometimes when I'm feeling like, huh, there's this feels like a developmental gap or something from the past is influencing this
Yeah.
thing in the future. I'll literally return to being on my back like a baby.
Mm.
Will maybe hold my feet
Like
and then
happy
roll.
baby position, yeah?
Uh-huh. A little happy baby on
Yes.
my back side to side. Up, and then I'll expand. Curl up, expand.
I love it. I love it. Okay, next question. What are 3 things that you would absolutely, positively have to bring with you on a wellness retreat for 2 weeks?
Okay. Absolutely have to bring on a wellness retreat for 2 weeks. So I'd have to bring a stuffed animal. Have to. I'd have to bring my favorite coffee.
Which
Have
is
to. It is a butterscotch latte with this like
ooh,
foam on top, like sweet cream foam situation.
That sounds good.
I'd have to make sure that I was able to access that. It's my fave. And then I'd have to bring. So I have a real answer and then I have a PR answer. So my third
I think I'm catching
my
what you're
real
throwing.
answer my real answer is the Friends of Mary Jane. Do you know her?
The Friends of
I'd
Mary
have to
Jane.
bring
Yes.
Mary Jane.
Oh
I'd have to bring
yeah.
Mary
Oh
Jane with
yeah.
me for
Of
sure.
course.
That's the real answer, you know.
Yeah.
And then my PR answer is Bubbles.
I'm crying.
Yeah. So
Honestly, solid. Solid list. Stuffed animal, good coffee, and some grassy
yeah,
elements. We love it.
grassy elements. Exactly.
Period.
As an earth sign, I just want some grassy elements nearby.
It only makes sense. It's literally science. Um,
It's literally, yo, thank you. It's literally science.
like, what are you talking about?
Oh
um,
gosh, I love this.
okay. Second to last question is go to your phone right now if you have it and tell us
Okay,
what your 5 most used emojis are or the last 5
oh,
emojis that you used.
okay. Let's see. Emoji. We've got this one.
My favorite. The salute
The salute one, and I'm never using it in a serious way
ever,
ever.
ever.
I have the blue swirly spiral thingy.
Ooh, she's pretty.
She's pretty, she's cute. I have the upside down smiley face.
Okay.
I have a heart,
What color heart?
crying, red,
Red, okay.
yeah, and then a crying.
Crying laughing or crying crying?
No, crying, raw crying,
Okay, okay.
full tears.
Okay. That's a nice mashup. I think the blue
Yeah,
swirl gives it some, like, the je ne sais quoi, you know, because it's like, who we don't really
exactly.
know. We don't know too much about what the vibe is back there, but it's beautiful to look at. I love it. And the last question for you is what is your go-to comfort food when you need a little pick me up?
So, go-to comfort food will have to be mafe, which is a peanut butter stew from Senegal.
Ghana has a version.
I love
So good.
peanut butter stew.
It's so
I could
good.
have it every week. It's
It's so
so
good.
good.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's my answer. Give me some mafe and some rice, and I'm a-okay.
Oh my gosh. Ooh, that makes me crave my mom's version. It's so good. Oh,
Oh my gosh, me too.
amazing.
My version is nothing like my mom's. I be trying though. I be trying. I be trying.
Thank you so much, Umu.
Thank
You are
you.
incredible. Thank you so much for being a part of the Soft Life. And please share where we can find you and connect with you and also learn more about your offerings.
Oh yay. You can find me on Instagram at Connect with Umil, CONNECT with Umil, OUMOU. You can also find me on the interwebs at the same thing, www.connectwithumil.com. I am also fake on TikTok. I don't be on there for real, for real. I don't be on there.
Yeah,
What else? Radical Mental Health First Aid can be found at the link in my bio on Instagram, or you can find it on my website underneath one of my tabs. Again, the name of the workshop is called Radical Mental Health First Aid. If you type that into Google, I'm sure you could also find it. And that's it.
amazing. You are incredible. Thank you so much for being here. And I will see you online for now.
Yay!
For now, until we
For
can meet,
now, I'm
hopefully in
trying to link
person.
up.
Yeah, until we can meet in
Can
person.
we do an African something? What can we do?
Please.
I want to do an
Ooh.
African
Okay,
something.
we're gonna talk because actually that's yeah, that's gonna happen.
African summit or something. I don't know.
I'm so
I don't even know what
down.
summit means. Let me let you sign off. My fault.
I'm crying. I'm leaving that in there too. Thank you so much.
Good.
Introducing Saddie Baddies' very first product, My Journey to Self-Love, the ultimate self-care guide by Saddie Baddies. Your transformational self-care journey starts right here. We've created the ultimate self-care guide just for you, with over 60 pages designed to help you discover wellness routines and practices that actually fit your fast-paced lifestyle. Designed to be completed within 8 weeks, this self-care guide encourages you to take simple, practical steps through introspection and awareness to deepen your self-discovery and healing journey. To stay connected, join Saddie Baddies on Instagram, Pinterest, Twitter, and more, and sign up for our monthly newsletter on SaddieBaddies.com to stay in the loop. Sending you hella love and stay soft, baddie.